This is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Zamir Shukho, CEO and founder of Vibranium Venture Fund. Vibranium investment focus is on seed stage B2B SaaS startups. Vibranium aims to identify future champions and support the rapid growth and global expansion. Zamir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Hall.
Great. And so where are you calling from today?
Right now I'm in Foster City in my house. With these remote options to work, sometimes I choose to stay at home. But most of the time I'm in Menlo Park in our office.
Great. So tell us more of your background. What did you do before this?
I've been working with startups for last 10 years. For a long time, me and my team used to build accelerators in Eastern Europe, many countries, CIS region in general. And we built different kinds of programs, just classical accelerators or corporate innovation programs. Totally, we built 42 of those, which is a big number. And a little bit before that, I ran an event agency which was focused on large events, including, presidents, politicians, stars, and many other people. And also we did many of those events for startups, combined over 500. So that was a lot of good experience and a good exposure to innovation ecosystem worldwide. I've traveled many countries and been to almost all developed ecosystems. And after that, I decided that it's time to start a venture fund so we could support these founders, not only with our knowledge and mentorship, but also with some finance.
Great. So how does one identify an investment focus if you're an early stage VC and maybe a first timer? What's your advice?
So I typically would look at a background of the GP. This is the reason why we are focusing on B2B SaaS, because throughout my career and my teammates' careers, we worked with a lot of large companies and helped them identify the needs for innovations and find market solutions in the startup ecosystem for those, implementing pilots with the startups, running POCs, and then scaling those technologies inside a large company. So when it comes to B2B SaaS, when it comes to the process of implementing those inside of an enterprise, we have a lot of knowledge and background. And that was the reason why we said, okay, this might be a good fit where we can not only be money, but also smart investor to help with, early stage startups with these processes. And on top of that, when we looked at the markets and we said, okay, what is a very stably growing market where we understand, what we're investing in and we can add value. And this was B2B SaaS. It's growing 80% year over year. Amazing startups, amazing companies becoming unicorns every year. So there's a lot of potential in that market, and we decided to try this vertical.
And so how does a VC understand that a startup might be a good fit for their portfolio, or if their fund is a good fit for the startup? Well, how does that work?
So we try to break down this process into several steps, basically analyzing more and more data on every step the deeper we go. So, a good fit is we identified certain criteria in the very beginning. So like step 0, if startup fits that criteria that we believe is good and feasible, then we would move them to the next stage. But overall, because it's a very early stage company, we definitely look deeper into the team and we see if there's a match with the founder, with the founding team, if we believe the vision that they have and we trust their experience and knowledge and background. And then, if we really want to be part of that journey, because to us, investment is a partnership and it's a long-term partnership where we would not only, sit on the side, but we also participate and help to get this startup to the next level.
Great. And so why don't you invest in crypto or medtech deals, for example?
So one of the rules that we try to implement is you got to invest in something that you really understand as an expert. So I consider to be an expert in certain things where I had over 10,000 hours, and which is, corporate innovation, B2B SaaS, marketing, management, all of these things that I had in my past as a serial entrepreneur. So I could be a value add. So are my teammates. When it comes to crypto, of course, I understand how crypto market operates, but I would not say I'm an expert or a super expert in this topic. So I didn't have 10,000 hours of working with this particular market. But when it comes to medtech field or healthcare, also is very, very specific, and it usually takes longer R&D process to get the product out there, to get FDA approvals, to do all the research, and it's time consuming, it's resource consuming. And if we are trying to target faster wins, this is the software part where we're playing.
Great. And so what are the differences between you and your VC competitors, other funds that are out there in the same space? How are you different?
There is a lot of really great funds out there and accelerators that work on early stage. So we try to partner with them, not compete. I think there is a lot of room for good investors, and startups always need support. So if there's a fund like us, and we are always there to help, we provide not only money, but also mentorship support. And we talk to our portfolio companies on a monthly basis. We help them with their internal processes, with their marketing and PR. We help them get more visibility on different events where we have partnership options. And of course, our main goal as a seed investor is to get them and their metrics up and running to be eligible for fundraising on Series A, and do some intros to those investors as well. Besides that, we launched a soft landing program to help foreign founders relocate to the United States. This is a free program. It's available to anybody who signs up. Of course, they have to go through certain criteria, procedures, and filters. And we handpicked 30 companies that for 3 months, we were educating them, helping them with practical experts on every topic that they need to know about running your business in the United States or relocating your startup here. And recently we graduated the first batch. We're going to have a demo day very soon. So this is something that we also do. And we are active in the ecosystem as experts. I try to share my knowledge on running an early stage startup, and especially when it comes to the relationship between the startup and investor, and being prepared for the fundraising, having a data room, doing your due diligence right, and everything of that sort. So we try to share that knowledge through our media and different events and speaking opportunities, so startups are better prepared for the dialogue with investor.
Great. And so what advice would you give someone entering the VC space, say someone raising a fund and starting out for the first time? What would you coach them to do?
So raising a fund is a tough job for sure. And you have to love what you do. You have to love to give, first of all, because a lot of my time I spend giving something back to the startups, communicating with the founders, educating them and consulting them on how to do what they do better. You have to be well connected, and you have to love networking, because this is the best source of deals. When you make friends and you go to these events and you present yourself, this is where the best deals come from. And of course, you have to be an expert in a certain vertical, certain field. So limited partners or high net worth individuals would trust you with their money, understanding that you are really sharp at what you're doing, and you know the field very well, and that whenever you see an opportunity, you could understand that it's a good opportunity and invest money in it.
Well, you launched the Vibranium soft landing program. Why did you launch it, and what's the major goal of it?
So we've seen a lot of demand from foreign founders trying to come to US market, because I believe the US market is the best out there for venture startup. It's very developed. There's a lot of investors of every stage. And of course, there's a lot of exit opportunities. So when we see these startups, they would approach us and ask us for help. I would do my best to help them. But, I'm only one person with 24 hours a day. So when we discussed this with the team, we said, okay, how can we structure this in a way of a program or an accelerator where more people can benefit from this knowledge and have a better, easier way to come to the US market. So we put together this program as a pre-accelerator, because we have all this background in building these kind of programs. We did it very, I would say, professionally, but without spending too much resources. And we added a lot of good partners, practitioners who work with these companies, like legal services, HR, marketing, teams, etc. So all of them work with startups on a daily basis. So the knowledge that they brought was very practical and straight to the point of what you need to do to have a better chance of succeeding in the US market, but not wasting too much investors' money or time doing it. And the main goal was to help a great demand of founders that are coming or want to come and relocate to the United States. Secondly, we are showcasing these startups on a demo day to our friendly accelerators, to our friendly business angels, because these guys are ready for investment. Early stage, a few $100 pre-seed, $300,000 pre-seed. And once they get some support and help from our local partners, from some accelerators that we work with or some business angels, maybe in 6 to 12 months, they will be eligible for our investment from Vibranium VC. So we would be monitoring their progress and traction in the local market, and then we would be interested coming back, investing in them as a fund.
Well, great. Well, aside from raising the funding, what's the main challenge in starting a VC fund?
I think a main challenge in any company I worked and I built is finding the right people who will take on this endeavor with you, because VC fund is a 10-year, maybe a 12-year project, right? First fund. So you have to take it all the way to the end and make sure, you work with your portfolio companies after you invest and you help them grow, etc. So you want to make sure to find the right people who are interested in joining you for the time period, for 10 years. So it's a commitment, right? And because the team is small, we have to be very productive. We have to be very smart. And, there's no, just like in any startup, there's no extra resources you can waste, because the resources are limited. Now, we have to be effective at our job and we have to be really good. Of course, because, when you talk about Silicon Valley, this is a high density place where there's a lot of other investors. So if you don't stand out, if your team is not excellent, if the quality of your work or your due diligence process is poor, then, you're not going to be successful at what you're doing, and first tier deals would not come your way. So I think that's the biggest challenge that somebody can have besides the fundraising itself, is building the right team to stand out and to really do the job on excellent level.
Great. Well, you see a lot of technologies and new business models out there. If you could start a new business tomorrow, what would that business be based on what you found so far?
It's so funny. Like almost every day I have a new idea, right, about something. And I'm like, oh, this is a great idea for a startup, especially when I take a shower, right? And the problem with that is there's so much out there and so many problems you can tackle. But again, it's not about the idea, it's about the implementation. So is there a right skill set on the team who can pull this off? Definitely AI is a very hot topic right now. So anybody with an AI background, with ML background, somebody who can program, these algorithms and work with those technologies is going to have an advantage over just a simple software engineer or startup. So right now is going to be, I think 2023 is going to go under an AI flag for sure. Thank you to ChatGPT and all these other amazing technologies out there. So, this is something to watch for, and I'm pretty excited about that. But if somebody would ask me, what is the one project that you would want to work on? That would probably be a worldwide, global internet, anywhere, anytime, even in the middle of the ocean. So if we can manage as humanity to create a network that would work anywhere on this planet, we would help so many people out there and allow them to get access to knowledge, to information, to all kinds of services that they don't have right now because they don't have internet access.
Well, great. Well, after you launched your VC fund, what's one thing you did that you didn't expect?
One thing I did that I didn't expect is very interesting question. So let me see. So probably I did not expect that I would be scrolling through so many Excel spreadsheets and data. I thought that, we might be on a different level of a due diligence, but a lot of data is still coming with very simple forms. And we have to look at it to kind of analyze it. So the idea about being a VC was, this is exciting. I get to see founders, I get to talk to them, I get to invest in them. But a lot of my time right now is being spent on reading through documents, files, PDFs, PowerPoints, and Excels, and analyzing that information before I even start talking to the founders. So I guess that's a little bit of boring side of the VC job, but it has to be done. So you make a data-driven decision rather than emotional decision.
Great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here today, what else should we cover that we haven't?
I think one of the important things to bring out there to the market, something in the message that we were trying to make bigger, is that pitch presentations are great. A lot of accelerators focus attention of startups on doing their pitch right, but pitch presentation is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the real due diligence process, even with the seed stage investors and VCs. So knowing and understanding what the process is made out of, creating a good data room, being prepared for the tough questions that VCs ask, is something that we really want startups to do ahead of a time, because there's always a time frame for the fundraising. And one of the biggest challenges we have right now is when we ask the questions and request some documents, typically startups don't have them ready. So they have to go back, do their homework, pull up some information from different sources, and then get back to us. And that increases the due diligence time frame, which does not allow startup to close their rounds quick enough. So being prepared for this dialogue is essential to be on the plan, and get the resources that you need to grow.
So how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
The best way would be reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Zamir Shukho out there. I'm accepting all friend invites and happy to talk. Typically, I would ask several questions if you're a startup trying to pitch to me, because as a GP of the fund, I would come in on probably stage 4 of our process. So I have, a scout, I have an analyst, I have an investment manager. So they look at the deals before these deals come to me. So whenever you would approach me, I would ask you a few questions, and, depending on the answers, I would ask you to either, fill up a form on our website, get into our CRM system, or maybe come back to us a little later if you're a bit too early right now with some of the metrics and your traction. But LinkedIn is the best place to find me, and almost daily I try to publish something that can be useful to the startups. So you can also read the feed and get some good information from there.
Great. Well, we'll include your contact details in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.